Hey guys, Mr. Regan here. Hope you're having a good Tuesday. Today we're going to be starting by looking at the slides, lesson slides for this week, week 5. Obviously, we're looking at Tuesday, the 21st. And if you're looking at this screen, hopefully you've already looked over these things. But big ideas for today, we're writing our body paragraph, our very first body paragraph. And that's pretty much it. So if you're somebody, again, who's maybe a little behind or somebody who needs to get caught up, today would be a great day to do that. The second thing I'm going to say is if you're somebody who has not finished lesson 9 and lesson 11, or those assignments are incomplete, please go back, finish those before you start and continue with this write-up. It's going to make things a lot easier. Things are going to make a lot more sense, and you're going to have better things to write about. So if you're somebody who needs to pause and go check Power School right now, great idea. Go do that, double check, make sure things are good. If not, you ready to move forward? Let's talk about our big ideas for today and our goals. Today, we're going to be creating a body paragraph that identifies the claim and evidence that's the strongest in our GMO debate, okay? Big idea as we're making this decision. Yes, you did it in the previous lesson, lesson 11, but remember, we want to try to take our bias out and we want to try to pick the claim that has the best supporting evidence, okay? So let's go ahead and get into it. Obviously, you're clicking on this link. If you did that, you're here. Hopefully we're looking past day 1 of the directions and looking at day 2. And obviously, if you're watching this video, you clicked on this video link. Now, before we get into the body paragraph, a few things you should obviously have up, and that's number 1, your GMO debate write-up that you started yesterday with your introduction paragraph. If that's up, you're golden. If you need to pause and grab it, check your drive. Otherwise, I'm going to be looking at this link to help you guys kind of write this very first body paragraph, okay? Now, this resource is going to be me writing a paper about a very simple and basic debate. Is it going to be about GMOs? Absolutely not. But that's where you guys kind of have to pull what we're looking at and what I'm doing and connect it with this debate, okay? So if you click on this link, it'll pull up that resource. Big thing moving forward is you're creating your first body paragraph that's going to have these 3 questions in it. And you are going to be creating a body paragraph and making sure you have good grammar, punctuation, spelling, and flow. Okay. Remember, we're not just answering these questions. We're creating a paragraph. Okay. Finally, if you've already submitted this yesterday, you're done. If you forgot to submit it, the Google Forms there as well. Okay. If you're somebody who needs to pause and get yourself set up and ready, grab some food, whatever, now's a good time. Otherwise, let's go ahead and get started. So looking at our GMO debate, okay, I have this write-up example that's going to focus on the debate about the Bears and Packers. Now, I've kind of written a little paragraph here that introduces the debate the same way you should introduce the GMO debate. It has some background information. It has some the research question and investigating question that I was looking at, and it has the very basic claim. Okay, you guys can go through it and check out what that looks like, but here's the big thing you got to know, okay? And I know this is going to sound biased, but here is the big claim that I feel is best supported by evidence, okay? And it kind of has 2 sentences that lead into it. Both sides of this debate have their own evidence to support their claim, but the Green Bay Packers are the better NFL football team, okay? The claim is and has far stronger evidence that supports this final conclusion, okay? So I know people right off the bat thinking what they want to think, but again, remember, this is just an example debate to show you not only how to write your introduction, but also how to write your body paragraph number 1 today, okay? So let's go ahead and look at what's being asked of you for the very first body paragraph. For this first body paragraph, I want to know what evidence supports your claim from your introduction. I want to know how does this evidence directly support this claim? And I want to know what makes this claim and evidence stronger than the other side. Okay, this is where you're presenting the strongest side of the debate. Okay, now I've taken my example here and kind of copy pasted these 3 questions, and I created kind of like a skeleton. What do I want to talk about for these 3 questions? Okay. Now I've compiled a bunch of evidence that I've researched. I've written a few sentences, and today we're going to show you kind of how it all makes sense and how we put it all together. So What evidence supports your claim? There's a ton of evidence. Obviously, we can talk about how the Packers have 13 NFL titles and the Bears only have 9. We can talk about how the Packers have 9 conference titles and the Bears only have 4. We can talk about how the Bears have made it to the playoffs 32 times. The Packers have, and the Bears have only made it 27. All these things, again, hopefully supporting this idea that the Packers are the better football team. Okay. Now, this evidence of yours is going to come from your document 9 and 11, all of that evidence that you've compiled. Okay. Make sure it's clear, it's detailed, and it's not saying things like GMOs are good, GMOs are bad. Those are more opinions and statements rather than facts and evidence. Okay. All right. Once you have compiled your evidence, we're obviously going to look at the next question. So if you need to pause the video, compile your evidence together, or get your paper set up, do it. Otherwise, let's look at how to connect all this. Now, how does your evidence directly support your claim? This is where you have to connect, your evidence to this idea that the one side of the debate should or should not be happening. Okay, for me, it's my evidence and the Packers are the better football team. Okay. All these statistics show the Packers have a history of winning games. Now, notice I'm connecting this idea of winning to the idea that they're the better team. Teams that win more games in the NFL are considered a better team. Boom. Okay. This is a big idea. This is a big connecting thought that says, hey, these stats show, or this information, this evidence shows, that the Packers are winning and that winning teams are considered better. Now, what makes this claim and evidence stronger than the other side? This is where you should really talk about what makes this specific evidence strong and this claim strong. If you're somebody who wants to check out this resource link, it's going to pull you into that. How do I decide if evidence is strong or weak? And these are all things hopefully you've looked at. Things like, is the evidence supported by research or is it an opinion? Well, all of the evidence I presented is research-based. Does it directly support the claim or does it need a lot of explaining? Well, I only use 2 sentences to explain how they connect. If you're using like 7, 8 sentences, that might point to something there, okay? Does the science around the GMOs make sense? Well, we're not talking science, we're not talking GMOs, but the statistics are pretty clear and make sense. They have 32 conference wins. Bears have 27. 32 is more than 27. Makes sense. Can someone argue against this evidence easily? No. And this is where a lot of people get confused. We're not arguing against whether or not the Packers are better than the Bears. We're arguing against this evidence. Can you argue that the Packers have won 99 games against the Bears and the Bears have won 95 games against the Packers? No, you can go back and look at statistics. You can go watch film on your own. You can go and see the research done and actually compare who has more wins against the other. You can't really argue this evidence, not the claim, the evidence. Okay, so if we're looking at it, the evidence has little to no opinions in it. The statistics are hard to argue with, and it leaves people with very few questions. There aren't a ton of questions that can be pulled from all of these facts, like the fact that the Super Bowl trophy that every team plays for at the end of the season is named after the most successful Packers coach, Vince Lombardi. Now, could people ask questions about that? Sure. Why did Vince Lombardi get the trophy named after him? What makes him so special? How come he's the most winning? Why didn't they pick another coach? And yada, yada, yada. But again, those questions don't make people think about whether or not the evidence is strong. They just make people think about the evidence. The fact of the matter is, the Super Bowl trophy that everyone plays for is named after Vince Lombardi. There's no questioning that. All right, at this point, I've created my skeleton. And for some of you, it's like, okay, I'm just going to copy and paste things. But then your paragraph is really, really wonky. You might need to put in some transition sentences or some things that help the information flow together. So let's look at some of the things that I did to help them flow together. I started with a transition sentence, that helps connect the claim in the introduction to the evidence we're looking at in this paragraph. There's a lot of evidence that supports the Packers being the better football team. Easy transition sentence, Some of the strongest evidence is, and this is where I pretty much copied and pasted a lot of the stuff, Again, still have that kind of introductory sentence that helps connect everything together, all right? From there, I start talking about the next 2 questions that we were looking at. So this evidence directly supports the claim by showing the Packers have a history of winning games. Teams that win more games than NFL are considered the better team. Okay. This evidence is strong because, and again, pulling in all those things that I typed up before. And what do you know? I have my paragraph. I'm done. It's easy. I would definitely double check, maybe go through and format, tools, spelling, grammar, do all that. Make sure everything's the same font and color and boldness and whatnot. But that's it, guys. Okay. If you're somebody who's made it through the video, awesome. If you need to pause or go back at any point, go for it. If you're somebody who has a lot of questions or you want me to go over this with you, I'm here for you. Otherwise, if you have questions, shoot me a message through email, through Google Messenger, and we'll work on this together. Okay. Reach out if you need help. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day.